I'm, I would say I'm healthier because I follow the Gracie diet. And what is the Gracie diet? The Gracie diet is not exactly a diet. To simplify it, is eating habits. We eat everything, we just combine the food towards a easy digestion. So, like if you think, when do you get sick? When you stress out with work and you're running around, you're working out and you're putting long hours at the job, and the house that you put for sale is not selling, and everything is happening at the same time, and you're running low on energy, and then you sit down and let's say you eat a typical Thanksgiving meal. That one of those that you sit down after you eat, you go, I think I need to take a break. I need to rest for a bit. And then you go take a nap, and then you wake up, and what do? You fall sick, and you feel sick, and you with a cold or whatever. And then what do? You blame the air conditioning. You blame the heat outside, the cold outside. There's nothing to do with that. So it's what you put, the heavy food that you put in your body to digest, and you're running that little low energy that you have, it goes to digest that food, and your body now is on zero, and that's when you get sick.
So you said the Gracie diet, you can eat anything?
We eat everything. We just combine towards the easy digestion.
You combine
the food. Example.
Give us an example.
Example. A typical American meal, a burger with French fries. Okay, we can eat. We're not super healthy freaks, and oh my God, this thing is have sugar. Or this thing have it's fried. Or, no. The French fries, we don't combine with bread. It's like two different starches. So we eat one starch per meal. So two starches, if you eat bread from the burger and the French fries or the potatoes, it will make it heavy to digest that food.
So one of the things that I've heard out there about the Gracie diet was that obviously the Gracie diet is attributed to your Uncle Carlos. And I heard that one of the factors that stimulated the creation of it was that some ad was posted in the newspaper, if anybody wants to try to fight my little brother Elio, any place, anytime. And so there had to be a diet that got created so that if somebody showed up after Elio had eaten a meal, he had to be prepared to fight, to fulfill that challenge, if you will, that Uncle Carlos had made. Is that true?
We have to be ready at all time. So I can't afford to be sick on the day of the fight.
Right.
So we combine the food towards an easy digestion. So there's no headaches, no bad digestion, there's no getting a cold. I can't remember last time I got sick.
My daughter obviously has been around Gracie Jiu-Jitsu for a long time, and she once gave the example of the Gracie diet of having a brunch or a breakfast, and you have the eggs, and maybe you have a meat with it, and everything combines, but then you try to drink a glass of orange juice. And she said, Dad, my stomach feels sick if I do that at that time, and I have this terrible taste in my mouth. And when she was a child, she said it tastes like I have vomit in my mouth. And I said, that's the best explanation that I've heard of why you have to be careful of what food group you're eating with what other food group. Now, how many food groups are there?
Oh, off my head, there's about 4 or 5 groups, but it's not about living longer. It's about living healthier. You can live. There's people that smoke and drink and live to 100 years old, but they're always at the doctors, visiting the doctors. Nothing wrong with doctors, but you see, but they're always at the hospital, always falling sick, always dragging. with no energy. The Gracie diet, it's more of about living good, living healthy.
Your family's always been ahead of its time in terms of cleanliness. Now all of a sudden everybody's talking about things that we should have already been doing, things that our mothers told us, our grandmothers told us, wash your hands, people always ask me, do you think people are smarter today than they were 30 years ago? I said, no, people aren't smarter today. 30 years ago, there didn't need to be a sign that said, wash your hands after using the restroom. Everybody knew to do it. Now there has to be a sign in there. There didn't have to be a sign that said, please do not put sanitary products in the toilet. People knew not to do that. As a side note, I was talking to a plumber the other day. He said 80% of all of the sewers that the pipes that back up secondary to sanitary products. Unfortunately, I had this experience at my house, and it was a $15,000 bill to repair, but that's a different story. But tell us about the original school and how clean it was, and tell us about the importance of always using a white kimono and why your family has always insisted white kimono, no other colors.
I think today, dealing with the kids, it's more not a question of if you're smarter or not, who decide what smart is. So because the guy finished a bunch of colleges, he's smarter than a guy that have common sense. But I think today the kids are more used to use, they're more of, they can do multitask. They'll be texting on the phone, watching the TV, and having a conversation without looking at neither the TV or you to have the conversation. They're over here and I pause my kids. Dude, are you watching TV? Yes, I am. So what's playing? And they go back and tell me right away without even looking at TV. It's like, so yes, today I think the technology got them to be faster on multitasking. About being smarter, I'm more of a use of a common sense person. So because the person have all kind of degrees, what defines smart? Who said? Einstein said, I think it was Einstein. If you define a fish by his ability to climb a tree, he's worthless. So about my father's academy, yes, that was in the 50s, 60s, super clean. Every time the student show up, he had a brand new wash kimono waiting for him, the bathroom stuff for him to take a shower, and to a towel and sandals, and everything's organized, brand new. So yes, I think he was way ahead of his time. And the white gi is because of, you notice if the person trains in a white gi, if it's dirty, the white can show. The kimono is just a tradition. We can do the same moves in martial art without using the gi. Kimono is just a traditional clothing. But I think some people like to use different colors to kind of hide the dirtiness. So I like my father, I'm against different colors, because you can't see in a black kimono if the kimono is dirty or not. Plus, you cannot bleach
using the bleach.
The color kimonos to keep it clean. So the white kimono, you can bleach them all day. You see, if you have to keep it clean, but the white kimono, you can see it. If the person work out 1, 2, 3 sessions, it gets dark, it gets dirty. Everybody notices that.
As a physician, I've had to treat several people who have had skin infections, staph infections, that were grappling. And I always ask them, so you were grappling with somebody that had a blue or a black kimono on, weren't you? And they look at me like, how did I know that? How would I? Because, when you talk to people, they say, well, I'm using black because I don't have to wash it as often. And that's just the reality. And you can't, as Royce said, you can't put bleach in, which you should always put bleach in then you should always go and train at a dojo where you can smell the bleach in the air and everything's clean, clean, clean.
I'm curious what else you do during the day that those watching could learn from. Are there certain mantras or bumper stickers that you repeat to yourself throughout the day to remain in the proper mindset?
Life is good in my world.
Life is good
In my world.
in your
It's
world.
my world. People just happen to live in it.
Right.
Nothing personal. It's my world.
Yeah?
Well, I'm enjoying the ride. I'm enjoying the ride.
So that's it.
I live life. I live life. People, from the time that I wake up until the time I go to sleep. It's a healthy lifestyle. It's I go for, what do? I go for a run, I go shooting, I go lift weights, I teach classes, I train for myself, I hang out with my kids, have fun with them, and you see, so I live life.
I mean, we only met recently, but I've got the impression that you are a very clear-minded, straightforward person who doesn't get in bad moods very often.
Never had a fight in the street, so very hard to get me in a bad mood. Sometimes I get confused why people don't like me. That's so confused, like why? What did I do that you don't like me? Most of the time it's jealousy.
You realize it's usually not about you, but it's about them, right?
It's about jealousy, yes. But it's I understand how things work, how the people works, how things happens for a reason, how people meet for a reason. You see, so it doesn't bother me.
If you were to give one piece of advice to those watching right now to improve their own daily life, what advice would you impart on our viewers?
Discipline.
How so?
You have to have discipline. There's a lot of tough guys out there. There's a lot of talent people out there. Particularly in sports, you see talent people out there. There's so many talent. Very common comment. Man, this soccer player is so talented. This football player, this baseball player is so talented. This guy over here is so tough. But without discipline to get up and practice, you're not going to stay on top forever.
Discipline.
You have to have discipline.
Right.
I notice having the privilege and pleasure to call you a friend, how important family is to you. And I notice the love that you have that's within your family, how much your kids love you, how much the boys and your daughter love you, how much you love them, how much you include them in every aspect of your life. I mean, everything that you do, you're doing with them. I see the laughs, the smiles, the energy that's exchanged. Even when you don't see each other for a couple of days, the energy when you do get together. Has that always been part of your life, an important part of your life? And do you feel that that's something that also keeps you healthy?
It's my father used to say, they're your kids until about 16, 17 years old. After that, let's hope they become your friends. Sometimes they're not. Sometimes they decide to walk away and live their own life. It's okay, but they're not your kids anymore. After 16, 17, my father used to say, after that, let's hope they become your friends. So yes, we enjoy each other. I know I give them enough freedom. At my house, it's pretty much like this. Is growing up was like me telling my kids the same way that my father raised us. It's my job as a parent to get you out of trouble. So if you don't get yourself in trouble, I can't do my job. It's a total like, what?
You know, our previous topic was discipline, and now we're talking about parenting. Do you think that too often these days, parents try to be friends with their kids rather than be their role model, their mentor, their father figure? Too often they want to please their kids, whereas things have changed, haven't they?
You can do that. They can be friends. They are going to be your friend. After 16, 17, as a young age, you're a parent, you're a role model. You see, 16, 17, 18 years old, they already made up their mind. They already know what they want, you see. So they know who you are. So they can either look up to you or walk away from you.
In the earlier years, when they're 10 years old, you see a lot of parents thinking their kids can do no wrong, always taking their kid's side against a teacher. And I think sometimes people think it raises a very soft generation of kids when the kids are always right.
One time, one of my kids walked home, and he got home from school. We live in a very nice neighborhood. And he walked home upset and kicking the doors and slamming doors. Like, whoa, what happened? He said, the cop pulled me over for no reason. I was like, what do you mean no reason? Did you run a stop sign? No. And he pulled you over, and yeah, he came over and showed my ID, and he let me go. I was like, so he didn't give you a ticket? He said, no. So, well, he's doing his job. Maybe the car that you're driving is one that they got a call about driving in the neighborhood, some car like that. I don't care. Next time I get pulled over, I'm going to flip him the finger and tell him to find something else better to do. My response, I'm going to let you spend the night in jail. Don't call me. I'll pick you up the next day when they release you.
Right.
You see, you're going to flip the fingers to the cop? Nuh-uh. He's doing his job. I'm glad that he's doing his job. I'm glad when I get pulled over. That means he's doing his job. I'm not against getting pulled over. People get all bent out of shape. Oh my God, the cop pulled me over because I was in my own neighborhood. I got pulled over before him in front of my house. That means he's patrolling my house.
Exactly.
I'm curious about, just as a physician treating injuries, the Gracie family has had some of the toughest fights, especially back in the old days when there weren't weight classes, there weren't time limits, and you were always fighting, bigger opponents for long periods of time. And yet, I can't think of a situation where there was a significant injury. What do you think is responsible for the fact that you're able to fight in these situations and basically be unscathed? I heard you once say, when somebody asked, what do you do if you get punched? And your answer was, I don't get punched.
I don't want to get punched.
So what do you think is responsible for the fact? Is it conditioning? Is it diet? What is it that is responsible for that?
It's a mix of things, of course. It's the training. It's knowing how to train. For instance, for MMA, if you see me training, I tell my sparring partners, you don't have to hit me. All you gotta do is touch my face. That light, touch my face, I count that as a hit. Forget this, well, you have to get used to get hit. No. You get used to get hit, I get used to hit you. We're made for each other. So it's the way I train. It's very light. It's drills, repetition. Yes, and if we go live fire, the opponents, my sparring partners don't have to hit me hard. All they have to do is tap, and I count that as a hit. So don't have to take the beating in training camp. Of course, the Gracie diet is not to live longer, but to live healthier. And on the fight, it's more of the mentality that my father taught us. I'm not fighting to win. I'm fighting not to lose. So I'm playing defense instead of trying to go at it with the opponent and trying to duke it out and trying to beat him and he beats me. And no. I'm playing defense. I don't want to take a hit. The goal is to come in there, not take a hit, not take a kick. I've tried to avoid that as much as possible. So it's a mix of everything, living a life, no alcohol, not smoking, don't smoke, don't drink, don't really spend all night up partying and losing sleeps and so things that people say, oh my God, that's the good part of life, you're giving it up. Yeah, but the bill will arrive sooner or later. The bill will come for everybody.
I notice also the respect and the love you have for your brothers, your cousins. The other day we were talking about the fact that you love to have Henzo as you're in the corner, and you were talking about just everybody having a different role, everybody being very good at a particular different things, not necessarily the same thing. Is that also just that love and that dynamics that your whole family has? I think it's a wonderful thing of keeping things together, the training, and keeping consistent the teaching of Carlos and Elio.
I would say it's more like a trust. I trust them. I've been there, they've been there, they've done that. So if they tell me do it, I'll do it.
It's amazing when you talk about your brothers. I can see the love on your face that you have for them. I mean, it's just and it's a little bit different, but it's a big family you have, and it's just a lot of love that I see between
brothers, cousins.
Brothers.
It's a lot of trust, love, trust. But it's I was with my father one time. We give him a taser, and my father was playing with the taser in the living room back in Brazil. I was walking by. He goes, "Son, come here." I say, "What's up, Dad?" "Give me your arm." It's trust. I know it's not gonna kill me. Right away, not even a question. I give the arm, he tastes me, he look at me, put it, tastes me, he's like, oh, okay. He look at me, his biggest smile, like, that's trust right there. It's trust. You see, I know it's not gonna do something that's gonna kill me. Yeah, it's gonna sting a little bit, but hey, do you trust or not? So it's a lot of trust on this, a lot of, they've been there, they've done that, so they tell me to do something, I'm gonna do it, you see, because I know they already went through, they already passed through this. And pretty much with my son Connery and I, it's pretty much the same way. If I tell him, hey, do this on the fight, he will do it. That's the way how it's gonna work, man. I got this, you got this, man, go for it. He'll do it, you see, just follow, it's a trust. So.
I often have people come to me that do jiu-jitsu, and they have one injury or another, and they've seen somebody that's told them that you shouldn't do jiu-jitsu, you can't do jiu-jitsu, I try to support them in continuing their training, modifying it, but continuing it. Do you have any tips for two groups of people, and maybe I fit into both of them? The older individual who continues to train. I know your father trained up until his 90s, and the injured person. What tip do you have? Somebody comes in and says, I have a particular injury, maybe I injured my shoulder. A lot of people end up, quote, cranking their neck. What tips do you have as to how to train, how to avoid the injury, and then how to train with the injury?
I heard a doctor one time says that be the director of the movie. Don't participate on the movie. So you can show the actor what to do, how to do it, but don't be on the action. So if you're injured, you can drill the moves nice and easy, but you don't have to go duke it out. You don't have to go ahead and go live fired, you see. So if you're injured, you can still do that, but that's the beauty of self-defense. It doesn't matter how old you are, how hurt you are, you can always drill nice and smooth. Instead, have to go fight and compete in tournaments and go head to head, you see, for, let's say, for a role It's that if you're injured, it will make it worse. To avoid injuries, it's you gotta know your partner. You gotta know. You gotta, again, as hard as you go, harder he's gonna come at you. Sometimes I feel the guys wants to spar, he's coming hard. It's like, whoa, I tell them, relax. We are not here to fight. Let's just drill. Or I see two students pair up and the one's going super hard. I'll tell, oh, relax, man. We're not here to exercise, we're here to just drill. So it's not for you to break a sweat and be rushing. No, slow down. It's not quantity, it's quality. Do it right, do it nice, smooth, make it smooth. Learn, pretend. I tell the time, pretend you're a sparring partner, you're a sparring person over here. It's a 4-year-old kid. There's no reason why to hurt that little kid. And imagine if that kid is my 4-year-old kid. I'm watching. Go ahead, rough him up. We'll see what's going to happen. Intimidation works sometimes better.
What in particular do you know, it's life is a journey. It's like setting course in a sailboat. And what do you think that this jiu-jitsu ship has gone off course? Is there any place you'd like to see things go back on course? What do you want to see for the future?
For jiu-jitsu and martial art in general, I would say they got too much of the off course on competition, tournament, point system, like Taekwondo, karate. It kind of got watered down because it became competition. They touch, I scored the point, I won. It wasn't made for that. It was made, Taekwondo was made to kick your head off your shoulders, to punch you the hole to your chest. But today, if you do that, oh my God, it's too violent. But it was, martial art in general was made for self-defense, not for point system competition. So what would I like to see? Go back more into self-defense, because the average person, or 99% of the people, the population, when they walk into a martial arts school, they are looking for a self-defense. I mean, when you go buy a car, you want to go buy a family car, a minivan, because you have 4 kids and the wife, and then you get the car dealership and he convinces you to buy a Formula One. And you show up at home with a Formula One. It's like, what are you going to do with a Formula One? How are you going to carry the 4 kids and the wife in that? But the dealership convinced you to buy that car because that's the perfect car for you. So a lot of the martial arts schools convince you to go into tournaments and point system, but in reality you went there because you want to learn how to defend yourself for a street fight situation if something happened. Hopefully nothing will ever happen, but at least you know how to defend yourself. But then they guide you to point system competition. So yeah, that I think ruined martial art in general.
You have 3 boys and 1 girl. Your daughter, the love that you guys have is amazing. What advice do you have? 2 things. 1, for women in martial arts, and 2, for fathers of a girl that wants to participate in martial arts. What advice do you have for them?
Martial art it's a must know. It's a just in case if something happens. It builds confidence. Believe it or not, but martial art builds character, builds confidence. She talks to people, she can stand up to people. Of course, helping 3 older brothers and myself, it helps a lot to do that confidence with dealing with men and facing them, and so that helps a lot too. But it's a must learn. mostly girls than guys should learn. Of course, martial arts for everybody, but a female is most likely to get attacked than a man to get attacked. So they have to know at least how to defend themselves.
Do you think if you are trained, if you have knowledge of jiu-jitsu, that you give off a feeling of confidence that prevents somebody from selecting you as the potential victim?
Of course, people feel in the tone of voice when she talks or when a man talks, they have confidence.
So body language.
Then, or simple, excuse me, comes out in a tone of voice like person yells somebody, excuse me. They already know, just simple that. It's like, what? What comes out in a tone of voice that people like, whoa, something's not right with this guy. Same thing with my daughter. It's like she'll talk in a way that comes out and a tone of voice comes out that people like, whoa, that's a strong character right there. You see, we don't teach people how to talk, we don't teach, but the confidence is like a police officer when he says, freeze. They don't teach them how to yell, freeze, at the police academy. But when you run and he says, freeze, the hair on the back of your neck goes up like, ooh, cringe, like something's not right.
Anything else that you want to cover today that's on your mind?
Life is good in my world. No complaints. We'll do it all over again. The good and bad.